You were born in the year 1327, a year of cold fields, empty cribs, and hollow prayers. Your world is not made of brick and glass, but of wood, mud, and shadow. There is no hospital, no doctor, no sterile sheet. You enter the world on a pile of straw beside the hearth, in a hut no wider than a wagon, no taller than a man's reach. The roof drips, the fire hisses, and your mother screams. Your birth is not marked by celebration, but by anxiety. Your mother is 15. Her cheeks are pale, her feet are swollen. She has not eaten meat in 6 weeks. There's no midwife today. She is tending to another woman's death 2 cottages away. A neighbor woman, her hands caked with last week's mud, assists. She brings rags, not new ones, and a small curved knife. No one knows the word infection. No one speaks of hygiene. No one suspects that their very breath may carry death. But still they pray. The labor is long, longer than the frost that settled last night, longer than the crows waited in the trees above when you finally arrive. Wrinkled, wailing, they do not smile. Your mother is no longer moving. Her eyes are open, but they do not see you. She is not asleep. She is simply gone. They pull the linen back over her face, wrap you in the corner of her skirt, and say nothing for a long time. Your first crib is a wicker basket lined with rough wool. It is set near the fire where the fleas are warmest. You cannot see. Your eyes are sealed with the wetness of your first moments. You cannot understand what they whisper about you. Not yet. But they wonder if you will make it past the next. 3 days, the chances are small. 1 in 3 do not. The others live long enough to cough blood before their 5th birthday. Milk is hard to come by. Your mother is dead. There's no cow. So they mash soaked bread into rainwater and drip it into your mouth. You cough, you cry. Your body is too small to shiver properly. A woman wraps you in a goat hide. You are swaddled so tight you cannot move. Your arms. They say it stops demons from entering the body. No one asks what the sores on her hands mean. No one thinks her coughing matters. She means well. So did the last one. You do not have a name? Not yet. They wait to name you just in case. Names are reserved for the living, not the almost living, not the half-gone, not the children whose eyes roll back after the first frost. When the sun rises on the 3rd day, you are still breathing. They give you a name. It is your grandfather's name. He died in the field behind the house, struck in the head by a cartwheel. No one moved the body until the next day. They say he was lucky, died fast. That will not be your fate. The winter winds leak through the wall slats, so thatch above your cradle sags with melted snow. When it drips, it splashes on the coals, hissing like snakes, smoking like ghosts. You sleep beside the fire, not to keep warm, to stay alive. Your blanket is damp. Your nose runs. No one wipes it, you cry. At night, and sometimes someone hushes you. But mostly, they don't. Noise attracts attention, and attention in the dark can mean wolves. Or things worse than wolves. The neighbor child died last week. She choked on her own tongue during the night. They say it was a witch who whispered in her ear. Now the door is barred with iron nails, not to keep something out, but to keep something. In, you dream of nothing, do not yet understand fear, but it surrounds you thick as smoke, soft as wool, slow as death. There is no mother's milk. There is no wet nurse. There is no formula. There is only pottage oats boiled in water, mashed to pulp, and thinned with goat's milk. If the goat is still alive this week, if not, they use ale. Not the ale you know. This ale is weak, flat, and warm, given not to intoxicate, but to keep infection at bay. Even babies drink it. Water is dangerous. They say it carries ghosts. No one says germs. No one says bacteria. But they know that children die when they drink from the stream that runs past the pent. So, they give you ale. At 4 weeks old, your belly bloats. You cry for hours. But there is no healer in this village. The old woman comes instead. She burns dried herbs beside your cradle, waves smoke over your chest, and chants something no one understands. It is not Latin. It is not holy. But it is old, older than the church, older than the stones buried beneath your village. Some say it works, others say nothing works. There is never enough food. The bread is hard, bitter, filled with bits of bark, the flour scraped from the mill floor. The porridge is thin, the beans are cold, and meat is rare. Sometimes a bird, sometimes a rabbit found dead in the frost, sometimes something else. No one asks what it was. So long as it stops the growling in your stomach, your ribs show by the time you are 4 months old. And when your gums swell from teething, they rub soot into them. They say it will toughen your bones. They are wrong. You do not sleep. Alone, your cradle moves at night. Not by spirits, but by things with legs. The fleas were born here before you. The lice came with the blanket. The rats live in the wall. They do not fear you. They walk across your face as you sleep. They chew your fingers if left uncovered. They lick the spit from your lips. No one stops them. Rats are a part of life like hunger. It's like coughing. Like the smell of damp wood and fire smoke you have never known. Clean skin. You have never known silence. It starts with a shiver. Your hands, small and pale, curl into fists. Your feet twitch. Your forehead sweats. You are 8 months old. The fever is rising. There is no thermometer. No herbs strong enough. No doctor to walk 3 days in the snow for a child who might not survive the hour. The fire is stoked. You are wrapped in wool. A dried frog is placed beneath your tongue. Your father, if he is still in the village, does not know your name. He may never say it. The fever lasts 2 nights. Or 4. No one remembers. You twitch. You cough. You do not cry. And on the 5th day, you open your eyes again, but something has changed. Your vision drifts. Your grip has weakened. You no longer smile when the fire crackles. They say you are cursed. The woman with the frog says your soul is half shadow now. They move your cradle to the far side of the room, beneath the tools. You will not be picked up again for 3 days. You are carried at last to the chapel, wrapped in a sheet, unwashed, unfed. The priest is young. He stinks of wine and sweat. He dips your head in a basin carved from stone. The water is cold. Your eyes widen. You are now baptized. The villagers nod in relief. Should you die, your soul will not wander. It will find the road to heaven or something. Like it, that is what they believe. It is all they have. They give the priest an egg, their last one. In exchange, he says a second prayer, one for the mother who could not hear it. Then he returns to his books. To his stone chamber with damp walls and dried herbs. He will forget your face, but he will remember the egg. At night, they hang straw over your cradle, not to warm you, but to ward off spirits. Each doll is shaped like a human. Some have no eyes. Some have nails driven through their arms. These are offerings. 2 things older than the saints. When your cough deepens, they burn hair. Not yours, but a lock from the dead sister who died 3 winters ago. They say it confuses death, makes him think he's already been here. You survive for now, but others do not. A baby down the lane stops breathing. No one screams. Wash her in the same basin where the priest baptized you. They wrap her in the cloth used to carry oats. She is buried behind the chapel. Beneath a mound of stones, a carved cross is placed above her head, but no one remembers her name. She was never baptized. Her soul is said to linger. They close the windows for a week, just in case. The air has changed. What was once cold is now bitter. The wind now bites the skin instead of brushing it. Even the fire seems quieter. You are 9 months old, wrapped in the same goat hide you've worn since birth, now stiff with smoke and old milk. You do not walk. You barely crawl, but you understand the cold. It lives in your bones. It sings in the air when the sun disappears behind the ash-colored sky. The door has been sealed with clay. The windows are covered in straw mats, but the frost still slips. Creeping across the floor like spilled flour, your breath forms clouds. You watch them rise. They are the first ghosts you will ever see. No one leaves the house unless they must. The outhouse is buried in snow. A clay pot near the door is used instead. It is emptied only when the stench becomes stronger than the cold. Your older cousin burns dried animal dung to keep the hearth lit. The smoke fills the room. Your eyes water. But it keeps the shadows at bay. For now, food is a memory. The stores are nearly gone. The root vegetables are soft and pale. The oats taste of mold. The barley is full of holes. Weevils have eaten through the sacks. Still, they boil it. Still they feed you. You chew with your gums. Soft bread crusts, soaked in ale. Sometimes mashed beans, gray and cold. Meat. No, only bones, boiled. Again and again, until they dissolve into pale broth. One night, you are fed something strange. Sweet, too soft. You sleep well. You do not see the pile of feathers burned in the fire the next day. You do not ask where the cat has gone. You are too young to know. They are too tired to explain. It happens in a moment. Your uncle, drunk from warm cider, trips over your cradle. The wood cracks. The goat hide splits. Your head hits the stone floor. Silence, then screaming. Not from you, but from your aunt. Your cry is small. Gurgling, confused. Blood drips from your temple. There is no doctor. No stitches, no antiseptic. Only rags and cold water. And whispered prayers. They do not take you to the priest. He says head wounds are punishments from the devil meant to humble, prideful parents. You survive. But something has changed. You blink unevenly. You no longer laugh. You flinch at the sound of metal. They say the devil touched you that night. Little too hard. A rumor comes with the wind. From a merchant, from the next village, from the church, they say a sickness is coming. A black sickness. One that rides the breath. One that clings to the skin. One that kills without mercy. The old woman says she's seen it before, a lifetime ago, in a port city far away. She says the eyes blacken first, then the blood turns to tar, then the body splits. You do not understand, but the others begin to whisper at night. They sprinkle ash at the door. They hang garlic above your cradle. You chew on it when no one is looking. They say it keeps you safe. They do not know it is rotting your teeth. The seasons turn slowly. The wind becomes rain. The rain becomes mud. The mud becomes green. It is spring. Again, you are nearly 1 year old. You have not died. You are a rarity now. The women smile when they see you. They say you are strong. They say you are blessed. They say you are meant for something, but they whisper it. They do not say it aloud. Praising a child too much invites death's ear. On the morning of your first birthday, your aunt carves a small figure from wood. It is crude. It has no eyes. It is meant to represent you. She places it on the hearth. She says it will carry your sickness for you. That night, the figure splits in half. A crack. Right down the center. They bury it in the ash pit behind the house. You sleep soundly. For the first time, your life is not guaranteed. 1 year does not mean 10. The earth is still cold. The water is still black. The world is still full of dangers that have no name. But you breathe. You crawl. You laugh. Once it sounds like wind over glass, brief, sharp, forgotten by morning. The road ahead is long. The work has not yet begun. Your hands have not yet bled. Your back has not yet bent. Your knees have not yet cracked, but they will. Soon. Very soon. You are 2 years old now. You do not remember being born. You do not remember your mother. You do not remember the night they buried the girl who shared your cradle for a week before her breath gave out. But your feet remember the cold floor. And your hands remember hunger. And your belly has learned that even when it's full, hurts. You walk too soon, they say. A child who walks before his teeth arrive is cursed or blessed. Depending on who you ask, the old woman whispers that the devil teaches some children to walk early so they can wander into fire. Others say it means you'll become a priest or a murderer. You wobble across the dirt floor, bare feet blackened with soot and rat droppings. Laughing at nothing, they don't know if that's a good sign. Your laugh is a small thing.
Ow.
But in this village, even a small laugh draws eyes. Too much joy in a child tempts the spirits, so they pinch your cheeks until you cry. To balance it out, to keep the other world from noticing. It is not cruelty. It is fear, disguised as care. It is not a warm thing. Not a memory of fire or touch or safety. It is the memory of waking up in the night because the air is too still and your body too cold to cry. You are 3. The wool around you is wet with your own urine. The straw beneath your bed is frozen. You hear coughing, not yours, your cousin's. It does not stop. It echoes off the ceiling beams. A rhythm of sickness. A drumbeat of breathlessness. By morning, she is gone. They wrap her in an old smock. A boy drags the body on a wooden sled through. The snow, no one watches, no one weeps. That night, the fire is fed with extra wood. Her place at the hearth is taken by a clay jug of water. You sit where she sat, because you are still breathing. For now, you are learning rules, not written rules, not rules from the priest. These are older. You do not whistle inside the house. Do not speak to birds that land near the window. You do not look into puddles after nightfall. You do not say the name of a dead child out loud. Do not open the door during a thunderstorm. You do not laugh while someone is crying. You do not cry when the moon is full. You do not ever ask why. Because in this place, to question is to invite, and you are too young to fight what answers. The lice have names now. You do not speak them aloud, but they are familiar. They live behind your ears, at the base of your neck. In the folds of your tunic, you have stopped scratching. There is no point. Your aunt rubs ash into your scalp every morning. It helps for a while, till the fleas return from the bedding, till the rats bring more. Once a rat bites your finger in your sleep, you wake not from pain, but from thee. Wet warmth of blood on your chin, you are 4. Your uncle burns the wound with hot iron to scare off infection. To please God, you do not scream. They say this is a good sign. They say the child who does not scream is protected. You do not know what that means, but the finger turns black for 3 days and then begins to heal. You live, the rat does not. It is nailed to the doorpost to warn the others. It happens without warning. The moon rises orange, then red, then darker than blood. The villagers gather near the church. They say it is a sign. You are not allowed outside. Children are told to stay silent, to press their faces into straw, to breathe through cloth, but you peek, because you are 5. 5-year-olds always peek. The moon looks sick, too large, too close. The priest holds up a cross and shouts into the sky. The baker burns 3 loaves. A woman wails, ripping her own hair. They say this night will mark a year of disease. They are right. By the next moon, 5 will be buried. By the harvest, 15. But you do not know that yet. You are still peeking. You are still laughing, because it looks like a big red apple. That night, your uncle slaps you hard across the mouth, not out of anger, to protect you. He says joy invites. Devils, you are not old enough to work, but you are old enough to be beaten, not daily, not without cause. But often enough, you drop a pot, and the stick comes out. Cry too long, and the stick comes out. You spill the water meant for boiling lice rags, and the stick comes out. They say this builds character, and they say it makes children strong. They say a child who is never hit will grow crooked. You do not question it. You simply flinch whenever someone raises their hand, even if they mean only to wave. One morning, you are tasked with feeding the chickens. You forget. The fox does not eat, are taken in the night. No one speaks to you for 3 days. You are not struck. This is worse. You begin to talk to yourself in the straw, not loud, just enough to fill the air. You are 6 now. And already you know what? It means to be forgotten. There is a crack in the back wall of your home. Behind it, nothing but dirt. But they say a child lives there, not alive, not dead. Something in between. She was never named. She was born blue, they say. Never cried, never moved, never buried. Instead, they walled her up, because no priest would bless her, because no grave would accept her, because the ground spat her out. At night, when the wind is low, you swear you. Here, breathing, slow, small, wet, you try not to look. But the crack pulls your eyes like a string. Once, you place your palm against the wall, just to feel something cold touch his back. You don't tell anyone, but after that, you begin to stutter. They say it is because your tongue has grown too long. The old woman says otherwise. She makes you wear a necklace of iron nails while you sleep. It doesn't help, but no one ever mentions the wall again. It happens suddenly. A hen old, skinny eyes cloudy, lets out a sound just before dawn. Not a cluck. A crow. A rooster's crow. From the throat of a hen. The entire house goes still. You don't understand, but the adults do. A crowing hen is an omen. They say it means a woman will die, or that the devil is walking in daylight, or that a child will vanish before the frost ends. They kill the hen before sunrise, pluck her while she's still warm.
Ow.
Her with herbs, no one eats the meat. It is buried at the crossroads beneath a broken wheel. You are made to spit on the grave. 3 times left side of the mouth only. This, they say, seals the curse inside the ground. Still, a girl from the far cottage is found face down in the stream 5 days later. Some say it was an accident. Others say the hen was late. Either way, no one crows after that. Not even the real rooster. Your first tooth falls into your hand during morning chores. You do not understand why everyone looks alarmed. The tooth is white, small, and round, a symbol of growing. But here, in this place, it is something else. Your aunt snatches it, wraps it in red cloth, spits on it, burns it in the fire. She does not smile. She says if you keep a child's tooth, something will come for the rest of them. You don't know what something means. But that night, you sleep with your mouth closed tight, just in case. A boy once buried his tooth in the garden. He wanted to grow more teeth like crops. 3 weeks later, he lost his voice. Then his hearing. Then his breath. They burned the garden. No one planted there again. You do not ask about your next tooth. When it comes loose, you throw it into the fire yourself. She is not called a healer, nor a witch, nor a wise one. She is simply the bruising woman, because her hands are blue. From berries, from herbs, from blood. No one knows, but they send you to her when your legs stop moving after a fever. You are carried in a sack. You are left by her fire. And she hums, not a song, but a sound like wind through bones. She rubs crushed leaves on your skin, smears something black across your lips, and presses your chest until you scream. That's what she's waiting for. The scream she smiles then, gums, not teeth, by the next moon. By the next moon, you walk again, limping. But upright, no one asks what she did. No one ever asks her anything. He is your cousin, 7 years old, a quiet boy, always chewing bark. He climbs the oak tree behind the chapel and slips. The branch splits. His head cracks open on the stones. The blood stays on the ground for days. You are made to carry one of the stones for the grave. It is heavy. It bruises your shoulder. You do not cry. Children are not allowed to cry at funerals. If you cry, you might attract the soul of the dead. He might follow you home. You dream of him that night. Not sad, not angry, just watching from the corner of the room, hands still stained with bark. Mouth slightly open. You do not dream again for weeks. You turn 7. Someone mentions it. And then everyone goes quiet. Birthdays are not celebrated here. Not because they are forgotten, but because they are dangerous. To name the day is to draw attention. To make a cake, to offer a song, to give a gift, is to remind death that you're still here. So your birthday is a secret, spoken only in a whisper, between 2 firewood trips. Your aunt gives you a new spoon, carved from a branch. She does not say why. Do not ask. But you eat more slowly that night, and for once, the fire feels warm. You are no longer called a child, but not yet a worker. You live in the middle, a place of watching, carrying, keeping quiet. You know which animals make the wrong sounds, which shadows do not belong, which doors should never be opened twice in one night. You know when to pray, when to pretend to pray, and when to stay silent. You are becoming something not quite grown, but no longer small, and soon you will bleed, you will labor, you will learn the pain that does not leave at sunrise. But tonight you sit by the hearth, watching the fire. Eat the last tooth you will ever throw into it. You are 8 years old, old enough, they say, old enough to carry water, to lift stones, to bleed from blisters and not complain. There is no school here, no lessons in parchment or pen. Your letters are carved in sweat and earth. Your math is simple. 1 loaf feeds 2 mouths. 1 broken tool means no bread. 1 mistake can break. Your back you learn by watching and by mimicking the motions of your elders, by failing painfully, publicly and often. Your hands grow calloused before your voice deepens. Your back bends before your bones fully harden. Your fingers know the weight of buckets, not books. Each morning, your body screams, but no one listens. So they all have their own pains to carry. You are 9 when you first see a man hanged. The gallows are not far, just beyond the barley field. Where children play when the wind is gentle, you are told to look, not away, but directly at him. So you understand what happens to those who steal grain, or speak against the Lord, or curse the priest. He was caught breaking into the mill. Some say he only took flour. Others say he spat on the crucifix as he ran. Either way, his neck breaks slowly. His tongue turns black. The rooster crows. No one claps. No one mourns. You watch until he stops swinging. The priest says, "This is how justice smells." It smells of urine and fear and cooked leather. You never forget it. You are 10 when the dreams begin, not gentle ones. Not the kind that drift away in daylight. These dreams grab your throat and whisper names you do not know. They drag your soul across muddy ground. They hold your limbs still while shadows crawl across your chest. You wake breathless, soaked in sweat, clawing at straw. Certain something followed you out of the dream. The old woman says it's normal. Children with thin blood are open to visitations. She gives you a pouch of herbs, worn around your neck, never opened, never removed. You sleep with it for years. It does nothing, but it smells like safety. And sometimes that's enough. You are 11. You can lift half a hog carcass. You can dig without rest. You can stack logs without snapping your fingers, but the work never ends. In summer, it's the fields. In fall, the harvest. In winter, the slaughter. In spring, the planting. Each task tears at a different part of your body. Your spine stiffens, your wrists twist. Your shoulders crack in the cold, but you are alive. And that is more than others can say. A boy your age slips beneath a plow. His skull splits like a melon. The men bury him under the tree where the crows gather. Does not get a marker. He was not baptized. He was born during a storm. They say he was always meant to return to the dirt. At 12, your body begins to change. Not gently, not cleanly. Hair sprouts in places you didn't expect. Your thoughts grow tangled. Your voice breaks in the middle. Of prayers, the priest gives a sermon about lust. He looks only at the boys. He says temptation hides in every shadow. In the curve of a wrist, in the swing of a braid. In the smell of fresh bread, you do not understand. But your heart beats faster. When the miller's daughter speaks to you, she gives you a crust of bread, warm, with a hint of honey. You thank her that night. You dream of her hands, and wake with guilt thick on your tongue. You do not eat for 2 days. You confess to the priest. He says the devil is already inside you. For girls, the change comes differently. At 12 or 13, a stain appears. Not of sin, but of fate. Menstruation, they call it. But not in front of men. It is spoken in code, in whispers, behind cloth doors. When it comes, a girl is no longer a child. She is something else, something dangerous, something sacred and shamed. She is kept from the fire, kept from the well, kept from the chapel. Some say her blood can spoil milk. Others say it awakens the dead. She does not cry. She does not complain. She simply learns to walk quieter, And when the bleeding returns each month, she hides it like a curse, because here a girl's body is not hers. It belongs to her father. Then her husband, in the grave. You watch her change? You do not speak to her anymore. The world would notice and punish. You both. You are 13. The miller's son marries a girl your age. She weeps during the vows. Not from joy. The priest calls it holy. Her mother calls it duty. The village calls it a good match. You don't know what to call it that night. They are locked in a small barn. The door is barred from the outside. They are told to lie together. To make the marriage real, you hear her crying through the walls. No one else reacts. In the morning, she limps. He grins. They are now man and wife. And you understand, perhaps for the first time, what fear really looks like. You are 14. Your hands no longer look like a child's. They are cracked, split, calloused. You've stopped dreaming. You've stopped crying. You've stopped believing anything soft lasts. One morning, while hauling stones to repair the chapel wall, your knee gives out. You fall. The stone lands on your thigh. You wake in the priest's cellar, legs swollen like rotten bread. They do not summon a healer. They leech your leg, wrap it in herbs, pray you do not walk for 6 weeks. They call it laziness. Say that young blood heals quickly. You limp for the rest of your life. No one apologizes. No one explains. Bye. 15. You've learned the most important rule. Silence. You speak when spoken to. You answer when asked. You never interrupt the priest. You never question the Lord. You never cry in the open. You never laugh at funerals. Words can be dangerous. Words can lead to lashes. Words can be twisted, misunderstood, cursed. You become a watcher, a listener, a quiet shadow in the corner of the chapel. You are praised for your discipline, but inside, your thoughts roar like fire. You do not let them escape. There is no birthday, no celebration, no ceremony. One morning, someone hands you a knife, not for eating but for defending your master's cart. You are 16. You now guard livestock, not because you are brave, but because the older boy was killed by bandits. The knife is chipped, the handle cracked, but it means something. It means you are now useful, now responsible, now watched. Now alone, you are no longer a child or something else, but you are not yet free. That comes later, much later, if you survive. You are 17. You no longer sleep in the loft. You no longer cry out in your sleep. You no longer wonder what it means to live quietly. You work now, from before the sun rises, until the stars are sharp above your roof. You do not rest. Rest is a kind of sin. Your hands bleed before noon. Your knees crack in the cold. The frost lives in your boots and behind your eyes. You carry wood. You break stones. You slaughter pigs when the ground is frozen. There is no reward. Only another day. The firewood must be gathered before snow. The meat smoked before rot. The hay pitched before the horses chew through the walls. If you fail, someone dies. You learn to love the pain, because pain means you haven't frozen yet. The Lord does not know your name, but he owns your life. You do not speak to him. You kneel. You bow. You move aside when his horse kicks dust. You owe him taxes. You owe him grain. You owe him your first harvest, your first pig, and your first child. He owns the land. And because he owns the land, he owns your back. When his messenger rides through the village, everyone stops breathing. He once took a girl from your village. Just once. She did not return. They said she had the look of softness. So now, mothers, smear ash on their daughters' faces during festival days. Ugly is safer. There is another power, older than the Lord, colder than the grave. The church, it takes your money. It takes your time. It takes your secrets. You confess things you do not understand, because not confessing is worse. The priest says sin grows like mold, invisible, inside you, until one day it bursts. He listens closely to your confessions, always wants more detail. You say less each time. The church tells you how to breathe, what to wear. Its thoughts are safe. The church gives you fear and calls it salvation. You kneel, because not kneeling means fire. You pray, because not praying means exile. You give coins you don't have, because one day, they say, your soul will be weighed, and it must not be found wanting. You are 22. Your shoulder has not healed from the fall 3 winters ago. Your left knee screams when it rains. Your right thumb is black beneath the nail, infected, swollen, sweet with rot. You do not stop working. There are no doctors, only midwives, bruising women, and traveling charlatans. Pain becomes your closest companion. You name it sometimes. You speak to it when alone. Your teeth rot one by one. You swallow a piece of molar in your sleep. You bleed from your gums for a week. The priest says it's punishment for unspoken sin. The midwife says it's worms. The bruising woman says nothing, just gives you a poultice that burns. You use it anyway, because hope, however cruel, is better than silence. You are 25. You owe more than you can remember. You owe for the grain, for the seed, for the oxen you borrowed after the flood, for the tools your father broke before he died. The debt passes like an heirloom, from father to son, from widow to daughter, from birth to grave. You cannot escape it. You try. You dig deeper. You work longer, pray harder, but the coins are never enough, so you trade something else. Hours of sleep, pride, pieces of yourself you didn't, how could be given. You don't notice when the debt becomes you. It comes fast. It always does. A lantern knocked over, thatched roof to dry, wind that breathes too quickly. The fire does not choose its victims. It dances from hut to hut, licking the sky with orange teeth. You are one of the lucky ones. You lose only the pig. Others lose children. There is no time to mourn. The Lord sends no aid. The priest says it was divine cleansing. The old woman weeps. She says the fire was angry. Not divine, just forgotten. She leaves milk at the crossroad. Just in case you do not believe in spirits anymore, but you still bow when you pass the ashes, just in case it does not announce itself, the coughing starts. Then the bleeding, then the swellings. One man dies in a day. His wife follows. Then the baby, then the midwife who tried to help. The priest flees. The Lord seals his manor gates. The village is left to rot. You sleep with ashes smeared across your chest. You drink vinegar, burn sage. You avoid eye contact, but it still comes to some. Not to you, not yet. You survive this round. And so, you dig, you help bury them with no prayers, no markers, no names, just dirt and silence. You used to pray, not just with words, but with breath. With blood, the offerings and scraped knees. Now you pray out of fear, not belief. You wonder if God listens, if he's watching, if he's ever been watching. The priest returns after the sickness fades. He tells you it was a test. You do not believe him, but you nod. Because not nodding means suspicion. Because doubt is treason in this world. You pray, but it is empty now. Like the bell tower that no longer rings. Like the chapel that smells of mildew and loss. Your brother dies in a field. You are not there. You are burying another man's child when the news reaches you. A horse fell. His ribs cracked. His breath left before they could call for help. They bury him with the others. No ceremony, no farewell. You find the spot a week later. Mark it with a stone. Then another. No one speaks of him again. You do. In your head, at night, when the wind sounds like his voice, you are 30 or 32. No one knows for sure. You've stopped counting. Each day is the same. Wake before the sun. Shiver while dressing. Work until your nails split. Eat something hard. Sleep without dreams. Repeat. You wonder when the change will come, when the work will lessen. When someone will say, that's enough, but that day does not arrive. And so you sharpen your tools. Bind your knee with cloth. Walk back into the fields. Because this is what life is. And there is still further to fall. You don't choose her. She doesn't choose you. The match is made over a goat and 2 sacks of grain, you're told. It's a good bargain. She's strong. Her hands are steady. Her hips are wide. You meet her only once before the vows. She doesn't smile. She's never been more than a field away, yet she might as well be from another country. When she speaks, it's with eyes lowered. When you speak, you choose your words like stones on ice. The priest says God blesses the union. You both kneel. Your knee cracks when you rise. She went, no one notices. The feast is small, dried apples, rye bread, a hen roasted over smoke by sundown. The two of you are led to the straw-matted bed behind the fire. No one leaves the room, they must witness. This is tradition. The candle flickers. She doesn't cry. You don't speak. It is not about love. It is about lineage. She rises before you, always, while you blink away sleep. She has milked the goat, stirred the oats, patched the roof where rain seeps through. Her hands are never still. They mend, cook, carry, scald, pluck, gather, sweep. When she bathes, it's behind a linen sheet held up by a child. She is allowed no privacy, not from life, not from pain. You see her kneel to pray each morning, not for joy, for survival. Her first task is to prove her worth with womb and wrist. One must swell with child. The other must never tire. She says nothing when the blood doesn't come. Only tightens the cloth around her belly. By the 3rd month, the signs are clear, and then the fear begins. There are no doctors, no clean linens, no quiet rooms. Pregnancy here is not sacred. It is a sentence, a trial, a countdown. Every woman in the village knows someone who died in childbirth. Sometimes the baby too. Sometimes only the baby. Sometimes both. You watch her swell. Watch her walk. Slower, watch her hands tremble at the joints. You see the priest bless her belly. Then the bruising woman offer dried herbs. They do not agree on what saves a life. She takes both. Because hope, even when contradictory, is still hope. She tells you she dreamed of water, a deep black river. And voices on the other side? You don't ask what they said. It begins before dawn, with blood. Too much blood. The midwife is called a woman with eyes like storm clouds and fingers like branches. She sends you away. Men do not witness. You sit by the door, back against the cold wood, praying without words. The screams come in waves then. They stop. The silence is worse. Finally, the door opens. A child is placed in your hands. Your hands scarred, cracked, calloused. Now hold something impossibly small and soft. It is a girl. Your wife does not rise for a long time, but she breathes. Barely you do not speak that night. You sit beside them, listening to the babies. Wet cough. Watching your wife's chest rise, then fall, the midwife tells you this one will survive, and then she leaves. You never see her again. She is not named. Until her 7th day, you've buried too many to do it sooner. For now, she is simply the girl. On the 7th morning, you dip your fingers in water, cross her forehead, whisper the name you and your wife chose. It is your mother's name. You barely remember her face. The priest approves. The sky does not crack. No omen appears. You take. That is a blessing. She gurgles in your arms. It sounds like a laugh, but you pinch her cheek, not cruelly, gently, to make her cry because too much laughter invites spirits. That's what they say. You thought having a family would fill something in you, but instead, it brings more mouths, more need, more worry. The child feeds constantly. Your wife eats little to make more milk. You skip meals. You offer her your share. She refuses you. Argue quietly, because anger draws misfortune. You plant more, you work longer, you hope winter will be short. It is not one morning the bread has mold. You scrape it off. You eat it anyway. The baby is wrapped tighter to conserve warmth. She coughs. And you both go still. Each cough is a dice throw, but she lives. Somehow, and so do you. There are no kisses, no long walks, no poems whispered under stars, but sometimes she rests her hand on yours at the table. Not long, just a moment. Sometimes she weeps at night, and you pretend not to notice, but hold her tighter in sleep. Sometimes the child says your name, half-formed, sticky with milk, and your chest aches in a way that isn't pain, maybe that's love. Here, maybe that's enough. The next child is not planned. None are. It comes to winters later. Quietly. Without warning, no one is called. There is no time. You are in the field. When you return, there is blood and silence. But only for a moment. Then a cry. Then another too. Voices twins. One girl. One boy. Your wife doesn't speak for 3 days. You care for them in shifts. You do not question the miracle. Do not smile at it either. You are learning that joy must be hidden. It is too easily broken. The twins grow. But slowly, slowly, the boy weakens. He does not cry at night. He does not suckle well. Your wife grows pale. She stops sleeping. The bruising woman visits. She says the boy's spirit is too soft. The priest says, you must pray harder. That perhaps. Something unholy has touched the house. Your wife says nothing. Then one morning, the child is still cold. She wraps him in cloth, places him near the hearth, does not let you touch him. She sits beside the fire for hours. When she rises, he is gone. She does not say where. You do not ask that night. You bury something in the dark. Maybe it was love. Maybe it was what was left of hope. The other to sleep. Beside you. Warm, alive. You pretend that is enough. You are nearing 40 now. The children are older. The girl has begun her own monthly pains. The boy herds goats and mends roofs. Your wife's hair grays at the temple. Your back no longer straightens fully. You count the seasons by the number of times someone bled on the floor or cried into. The ashes were screamed into cloth. There is love. It is not soft. It is survival. It is shared bread, a clean cup, an extra blanket. It is the way your wife still checks the door 3 times before bed, as if death were a thief with cold hands. In quiet steps, maybe he is. You hold her hand one night, and she does not pull away. The fire crackles low. You both stay awake, listening to the children breathe. It is the only sound that still matters. It begins in silence, not a storm. Just endless rain. The sky turns gray in spring, and stays that way. The fields swell. The soil turns to rot. The seeds do not take. Your boots suck into the muck like they want to be buried. The grain blackens before it ripens. The barley lies flat. The roots drown. You wait and wait, but nothing grows by midsummer. The food is gone. The stores you buried under straw last winter have molded. The meat is long eaten. The bread is made with bark now. It's a moss. And whatever you can grind down to. Chew. Your wife grows hollow. The children stop laughing. You hear rumors that people in the north are boiling belts for broth. That people in the south have eaten their dogs. That people in the west have eaten worse. You do not ask. You stare at your hands because they are all you've left to give. They come at night. Thin men, bent women, children whose eyes shine with animal light. They do not knock. They do not shout. They wait at the edge of the trees watching your window. Watching the chimney smoke? One morning, the goat is gone. No tracks, no blood, just rope, cut clean, and a footprint. Small a child's. You set no traps. You say no prayers. You understand you would do the same. That night, you leave bread on the stump near the trees. It's gone by dawn. So is your fear. The famine does not touch the manor. They still eat. They still drink. They still send orders to collect taxes you do not have. You offer nothing because you have nothing. They beat your neighbor, take his last goat, burn his shed. He survives, but not long. His wife hangs herself with the rope they didn't take. No. One removes the body. The priest says not to touch her. Her soul is unclean, but you bury her anyway, quietly, with your own hands, because the soil may be cursed, but it is still kinder than the church. They call it conscription. The word means, we take your son now. He is 14, still limps when it rains, still laughs in his sleep. They give him a tunic that doesn't fit, a blade that isn't sharp, and a promise of land if he returns. But you know he won't. 2. War does not give land to the poor. It gives graves, gives ghosts. You watch him walk. Away, he does not look back. You do not cry. Because the man next to you is already weeping. Someone has to stand. Your wife speaks only once that night. He won't know how to pray. You do not answer, because neither do you. At first it's just a whisper, a sickness from the south, from ships, from rats, from the sea. Then the priest dies, then the tanner. Then the children across the road, they die badly, with swellings. Black lumps under arms, behind knees, at the throat, with bleeding from the mouth, with moaning. Endless until silence. You try to leave, but the road is gone, not broken, not blocked, just abandoned. You walk for 2 hours and see no one, then 3 bodies in a cart, then 5 more in the ditch, then a house boarded shut, scratching still. Coming from inside, you return home. You do not leave again. One day, strangers appear. Men in long cloaks, with bird-shaped masks, with red glass eyes, with sticks that prod and poke. They do not speak to you. They do not ask. They look at your wife and the girl. They nod. They say, "Quarantine." You ask what that means. They say, "She must stay indoors." No one touches. No one drinks from her cup. No one prays over her. You obey. You don't have a choice. The girl is 10. She doesn't understand. She asks why her mother won't hold her. You say, "Because she loves you." You don't know if it's true. A boy is dragged from his home. They say he spat blood. They say he's cursed. They say he brought it from the town. He screams for his mother. The priest is gone, so there's no blessing, only oil and fire. He burns for 2 hours. You do not look, but you smell it, and the smell does not leave, not for weeks, not ever. You begin to forget what clean air is. You begin to forget what mercy feels like. He returns. In your sleep, older, whole, unscarred. He stands at the edge of your bed, helmet in hand, eyes filled with something you can't name. He doesn't speak. He only kneels. And you, without thinking, lift your hand and place it on his head. You wake with your hand still raised. Your wife beside you, alive, but her eyes are open and her breath is gone. You dig the hole yourself. The ground is still wet. You do not cry. You do not sing. There is no one left to help. No priest to pray. No women to wail. Only you and the girl, the crows in the branches. You bury her with the cloth she embroidered, with the wooden spoon she used for every meal. With the small token your son carved before he left, the grave is shallow, 'cause your back cannot bend any deeper. But she is under earth. And that, in this world, is grace. You live. You do not know why or how, but you rise each day. Feed the girl, boil the water, sweep the floor. There is no more sound in the village. Only wind, only sparrows. Only the creak of beams too old to hold memories. The plague fades, but it does not end. It becomes something else. A shadow inside your skin. Silence behind your eyes. A weight between each heartbeat. You do not hope, but you endure. And in this world, that is all that's left to do. You are no longer young. You rise with thee. Son, but not because you want to, because your bladder demands it, because your knees ache, because your back forgets how to lie still. You no longer stretch. You no longer kneel in prayer. You no longer carry anything heavier than memory. There is work still, but the village lets you skip it now. They see your hands twisted, swollen, and say, "He's done his share." But they're right. But it doesn't feel like mercy. It feels like being forgotten slowly. The girl is grown. She sleeps in her own corner now, her hair braided with care, her hands gentle with the fire, firm with the goat. She sings sometimes, not loudly. Never fully, just little scraps, bits of melody she doesn't know she remembers. You watch her sometimes, peeking from the doorway. She looks like her mother. She speaks like you, and you wonder, not for the first time, What will happen when you are gone? There are chairs now that no one uses. Cup no one drinks from. Robe still folded in the corner. It's gathering dust like it waits. You don't move them. You just keep walking around them, like ghosts. There are fewer people now. Many faces gone. Some houses boarded. Others collapsed, unrebuilt. The road is softer. The grass has taken back much. Even the chapel feels smaller. The new priest is younger than your son. Would have been he speaks too fast. Wears new robes. It's talks of change and healing. You do not dislike him, but you do not trust him. He has never buried a child, never watched a village burn. He speaks of hope. Like it is something you can hold. You know better. It doesn't come in waves anymore. It comes like mist. Not heavy, not loud, just present. In the corners, under the floorboards, inside your breath, you miss them all. Not as individuals anymore, but as a warmth that's missing. Your brother, your son, your wife, even those whose names you forgot. They visit you sometimes, in dreams, in the way the fire flickers. In the smell of winter wheat, you do not cry. You do not speak to them. You just let them sit beside you in the stillness. They are no longer tools. They are artifacts, twisted at the knuckles. Fingers bent from years of grain, sacks, and stone, nails thick, split, yellowed, but they still know how to light a candle, still know how to cut bread, still know how to comfort a frightened child with a touch. You look at them often now, turning them over in the firelight. As if you might read a story written there in the cracks, they hold more truth than your memory. They are your diary. It's difficult. There was a time long ago when you chased your brother through the barley, when your mother lifted you high and spun you till the sky turned upside down, when you fell in a stream and laughed so hard, you swallowed the sun, but it's faded now, like a worn carving on an old pew. Still there, but only if the light hits just right. Sometimes your granddaughter brings it back.
Ow.
In the way she trips, or shouts, or argues with chickens. You smile, and remember what it feels like to be made of more than silence. The younger ones sit by your feet, their faces wide, their eyes full. They ask what the plague was like, what war smelled like, if ghosts are real. You do not tell them everything. You leave out the worst. You say, yes, there were hard times, but we survived. You do not say, we survived by burying love and drinking grief like water. They wouldn't understand. They shouldn't have to. Let them carry the lighter version. You've carried the weight. Let them run. It smells of earth, of endings, of something ready to be released. You feel it in your teeth, in your knees, in your dreams. You begin to eat less, not from lack, but from a quiet understanding. Your sleep grows heavier, your voice quieter, your walks shorter. You sit more, by the fire, in the sun, near the window waiting, but not afraid. Your dreams change. You no longer see the dead. You see the river, still dark, unmoving. But it calls to you now, not with fear. With welcome, it is a morning like any other gray. Cool, sparrows scratching in the dust. You tie your robe slowly. Comb your beard with fingers instead of wood. Breathe deep. You sit at the table. The bread is fresh. The girl, now a woman, pours you broth. You thank her. You smile. And when she turns to fetch more wood, you close your eyes. Not from exhaustion, but because you are ready. She finds you still seated, still warm, still smiling, and she weeps, not from despair, but from love, because you gave her everything you had, and a little more. And that's what life was. You have died. The world does not stop. The wind does not pause. The rooster still crows in the cold morning light. The village carries on, because it must. Your daughter closes your eyes. She brushes your hair back. She does not scream. She has seen death too many times. Instead, she lights a candle, places it beside your chair, wraps your hands in linen, and sits with you as the shadows shift. In this world, dying is not rare, but mourning is still sacred, and your body still matters. It must be honored, prepared, returned to the earth. It's the right way, or not at all. Because what happens now is not just for the living, It's for what comes after. The neighbors arrive in silence. The washing begins. Water is warmed over fire. Rosemary is crushed. Not for luxury, but to mask the smell of parting. They scrub your arms. They clean beneath your nails. They wrap your legs. They whisper the old words, not Latin, but older. From before the church arrived, your body is dressed, not in finery, but in simplicity. A shirt your wife once mended, woolen socks, a carved wooden rosary placed between your fingers, no shoes. The dead need no shoes. They have no more roads to walk, only once. That is the signal. Not for celebration, not for announcement, but for reverence. Everyone hears it. Everyone knows who it is for. Your name passes quietly between lips. Not shouted, just spoken, as though you were walking by, not departing. Your daughter prepares bread. The widow next door brings candles. The boy whose goat you once fixed brings a carved stone, a gift for the other side. There is no grand ceremony, no choir, just a line of people, shoes in mud. Heads low, you are carried in silence. It is not deep. The ground has been dug by hand, by people you once helped harvest turnips, by people who remember your laughter, even if they cannot recall what you laughed about. The priest stands over you. He reads from the book. His voice shakes, not from emotion, but from cold. Still, he speaks the old words. From dust you came, to dust you return. The body is lowered. The earth receives it, with no resistance, only soft sound. A shovel, a sigh, a crow. You are gone. But not entirely. The grave is marked. With stone. With name. With a piece of wood carved in your daughter's hand. It leans already. But it stands. For now the house is quiet, but the table is full. Not with joy, with tradition. Bread is passed. Stew is ladled. Stories are told. Not all are true. Some are kind lies. They say he once outran a wild boar, never lost a game of dice. He could speak to birds. These things are not written in the church book, but they are real in the mouths that speak them, and that, in this world, is what legacy means. Later, your daughter tucks a small carving beneath her pillow, one you made when she was still learning to walk. She sleeps, and dreams of your hand. You were not rich. You had no gold, no scrolls with seals, no titles, but you left a house with a straight roof, a chair with worn arms, a wooden bowl carved smooth with years, a daughter who knows how to survive, a memory in every corner of the field. You left no monument, but you left rhythm, and rhythm lasts longer than stone. They till the fields now with your footsteps still in the dirt. They whisper your name when the wheat comes in strong. You are not here, but you are not gone. The years pass. The girl becomes a mother, then a widow, then a quiet old woman who tells stories by firelight. The house is smaller now, the hearth replaced twice. The barn rebuilt after a storm, but your tools still hang near the door, and your name is still scratched in the wood beam above the hearth. Children ask, "Who was he?" And she smiles, not big, just enough, and says, "He was the reason I am here." The church falls once, then is rebuilt. The graveyard grows. Your stone leans more, then breaks, then sinks. But a sapling rises not far from it. And every spring it blooms early. No one knows why, but they say it's good luck. Eventually, your name's no longer spoken. The last person who remembered your face passes quietly in winter. The field changes hands. The village grows smaller. And your story becomes a mystery. A name in a ledger. A guess in a broken record. A piece of pottery beneath a new path. But still you mattered. The world is different because you were in it. A wall stands straighter. A roof held longer. A child lived through winter. You were a thread. And the tapestry remembers. Even if the names do not. You do not walk anymore. You do not ache. You are not hungry, not cold, not alone. You are ash in the soil, smoke in the air. A prayer whispered by someone who does not know why they say it. You are dust and light and breath. And maybe, just maybe, you are the warmth that comes when the fire burns low. And someone feels they are not alone.